Hello guys, today we have an update on Spark build, which started as a cold Spark. Uh, so I did quite a bit of testing, and after the latest patch, which happens I think was December 20 or December 19, just before the GG went to holidays, when they actually nerfed the electrocutes and the freeze build up. At first, I thought, it's not a big deal. The freeze still works fine. But then I did quite a bit of testing. I got myself, the usual our Kotoka current gloves. I tested electrocute. I tested freeze build up with, investment in the tree and everything like that. And honestly, electrocute is just, better, just cheaper, just builds up much faster than the freeze build up, and especially after the freeze, freezes an enemy like a boss for one time, there is like a delay. The freeze build up just starts stacking up very slowly. So I just got the gloves, I just got the electrocute, and it actually works, pretty much the same as a freeze, just actually better than the freeze itself. Just because even after you do the electrocution on the boss, it just builds up at the same rate. Even though it's like 25% nerfed, it's still actually super OP and it builds up very quickly. So we did changes on that. We got the Kitoka scoring gloves, so pretty much our lightning damage contributes to electrocution. Probably a lot of builds were using this already, so yeah, you can still use the freeze build as one. It is fine as it is from the latest video. Just that's after the nerf, the freeze is stack a lot slower on the bosses. After you freeze it for the first time. And I'm just gonna quickly talk about the items and what you actually need and what you don't need. I'm gonna do the written guide as well, for you guys as well, so you know what happened, what changed, and as well I'm gonna do the one for the cold version if you want. So pretty much what you see here, you can do this build for like one divine pretty much. A lot of items here are just like min-max versions and stuff like that. Of course, not all of them are. There's a lot more investment you can pull into this one to make it like super duper juicy. We're gonna talk about some other changes as well. So quickly let's go over to our items. So pretty much gloves are mandatory now for electrocution. Probably the easiest way, and you don't sacrifice much. You do lose some cast speed, and you do lose a mana roll on it with some decent energy shield. So honestly, if you have like high damage and you don't really need electrocution on just regular mobs, maybe just on the bosses, you could do clearing with just regular gloves with a lot of mana, some energy shield. That's an option. So pretty much these gloves are one exalt. They are common, if you want to get a good roll with 2 sockets and maybe 10% reduction on the cast speed. They're gonna cost like a divine, but otherwise these ones are cheap. You can start with just 1 socket. The 4% mana is not that big. If I just take this off, it's like 200 mana maybe, with everything. Yeah, so then boots are simple. Mana, int, double res, movement speed if you can afford. I need to change these as well. Maybe fit in 1 res here, as well. But the boots are just expensive, so you can just do, less version with even either less movement speed, maybe a little bit less int. It's not gonna cost you much. You can start with pretty much any boots if you have resistance anywhere else. Then the body obviously high int base, I mean high energy shield base with int, some res, whatever you need to fill in, but basically just energy shield. You can start with any base pretty much with like 500-600 energy shield gonna work as well as you build up your way. So this one is pretty cheap as well. you can start from as little as just Gamblet body from the shop. So our focus needs improvement as well. Pretty much you want 2+ levels, mana, some damage now as well. Int, you don't need the resistances if you can get it from somewhere else. You could just take mana regen or cast speed on this. Then we have our helmet, pretty much int, resistances and mana. That covers it. Our rings, just regular damage, some resistances, whatever you need to fill in, but pretty much want as much mana as you can. Some cast speed, mana regen is nice as well on the breach rings. So you can start pretty much with any rings as well. As I was building the the character, I pretty much used whatever I had. As I got currency, I did some upgrades. And anyway, these rings are not perfect in any way. You could upgrade it even more. And then we talk about the belt. Obviously, the moment you see this belt, you're gonna think the build is expensive and everything like that. But if I take the belt down, as you can see, my mana, I just lose like 500 mana pretty much on the belt. So it's not a big deal on the mana wise. You could just use a belt with flat mana, some resistances, maybe charm slots as you want, as I was using before, just basically a rare belt, with mana, charm slots and so on, because I still have the charms here left. But if you do have budgets, Ingenuity is a decent choice for you to run. They do cost like 25 divines right now on the higher rolls. On the max roll it goes even more. But it is worth it, especially if you have a good rings. But it's not necessary to play comfortably and do all the content. So what we have else, basically we have the wand. It needs improvements as well. What you want looking usually levels, cast speed, lightning damage, could get spell damage as well on there, mana. I need to upgrade the wand as well. I haven't done that yet, but everything is expensive these days. If you want a decent upgraded wand, you're gonna need like 50-60 divines, but you can start rolling with +4 levels, pretty much same wand as this, just +4 levels, and it's gonna cost you like maybe 20-30 exalts. It's pretty cheap to start the build. So that covers pretty much the gear. Let's go over to the skills. You don't need to use flame wall, it's just a leftover from before. I just like some extra fire damage. It's not really necessary, doesn't pretty much do anything at all. Then we have our spark, our main skill at the moment. I'm gonna talk about something else later on as well. So pretty much you running the spark, we're using pierce, we're using acceleration, we're using control destruction, we're not doing any criticals at the moment. Then we have more cast speed on arcane tempo, and as well our inspiration, so we can sustain our spark as you cast it away. Okay, so frost wall is not necessary, you can just drop it out. Doesn't do much for us anymore. We did use it for a freeze build up before, but it's not really necessary. We switch over to conductivity, so a little bit of supports here, some debuffs. Orb of Storms, just for conduction, more shock. Usually I don't even use it on regular mobs, maybe just on bosses, to give them lightning exposure, and more chance to shock. You could as well put in here shock magnitude to inflict higher shocks. Of course, our Archmage, Ma Tempest, not necessarily using it as well because it consumes a lot of mana. And even when we do have 1100 mana recovery, honestly, it's not enough, like I would ideally want to get it to 1500. For that I would need to change a ring here with big mana regenerate as well to be able to get there. Then you could probably use Mana Tempest, but it's a risky move since if you see we press Mana Tempest, use the skill, use a skill, it's just gonna drain your mana constantly as it grows up. So it is a risky move to use, and it's not a big of a damage increase for us in any way. And lastly but not least, I'm experimenting with cast and shock. So pretty much I got a new amulet with spirit. This is not necessary totally, I'm just experimenting on it. I'm gonna, you know, do it properly with, you know, cast on shock and spark and everything like that. I'm gonna, you know, post a video update later on as well. So pretty much what I'm using, it's cast on shock, lightning conduits, which scales from shock effectiveness. We do have a lot of shock magnitude on jewels, so this one is actually nice. It works very nicely on the bosses. Then you have elemental focus, our usual, more damage, considered casting, more damage as well, and we have increased energy gain. For a 6 link, it would be energy retention probably, or some more damage. Haven't really fully invested into this yet, just changed it a few days ago and just kept it there for a moment. So that pretty much covers, you know, skill gems, items, everything you want on this side. Then let's move on to our skill tree. So skill tree, our ascendancy as usual, you know, meta defying arcane surge for our archmage. Then we have strike twice, so basically 2 shocks, and we have scoring wins. If you were running the cold build, you would have technically needed Shaper of Storms. It was not that necessary because the Brotherhood scaling was a little bit off. It was giving me both cold and light damage. On the way, I didn't even have the light damage anywhere, like just the one, but this was the later one. On the last one, I did not even have the lightning damage. I still got the lightning damage from somewhere, so that was confusing. Then when we go over to our, you know, tree here, I have another mana blessing because it saves me 3 points, but I'm planning to do, you know, the big lightning rod. I was holding off on this because I was changing my amulets constantly. This one looks like a decent option. I would probably prepare, you know, to get like mana regen on here instead of lightning res, but we'll see. Because this one is like a big investment. It's like 15 divines at the moment, so just slapping on any amulets is not worth it. So keep that in mind. Okay, let's go over to the tree. So pretty much we dropped our cold stuff, freeze build up, since you're using now the glows. Over here pretty much everything stays the same. Skill effect duration for the spark. Oh yeah, we talk about the jewel. So this jewel is like 10 divines, 12 divines. It's not a good rolls on here in any way. I just needed a little bit of spirit, you know, for cast and shock. So you can basically ignore this one if you don't want to do cast and grit lightning conduits. You could technically not buy the jewel. You could get a body with spirit or either a corrupt on a helmet, because you just need like 6 spirit, or just get an amulet, you know, solar base with 60 spirit, and you don't even need this one. It's like unnecessary. Over this side nothing changes. We're picking as many jewel sockets as we can. We dropped this one since we are not using freeze build up. We dropped stuff over here since we're not using freeze build up as well. We picked all the lightning nodes here. All of them are actually good. Mana regen, some lightning nodes over here, jewel, as well projectile speed. We as well picked the chaos inoculation since we're only using mana as our defense now. We don't have any energy shield or life, but we can ignore chaos resistance on the gear, which saves us a lot of slots. So I think this one is totally worth it. And then we moved all the way back to lightning damage over here, which increases our damage by quite a lot, since on tooltip we have spark as 156,000k. That's big numbers. I'm gonna show you quickly how we clear the map, and pretty much I think that covers all the basic stuff about the build. We're just gonna show, you know, the map clear now. And I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below as well. And see you on the next one. As well, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't yet, and see you guys on the next one. Enjoy the rest of the video.
Battle time, please.